What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 35. And we start today's episode off with some player training, which I'll be discussing in more detail in the next episode to address some of the comments I've been getting this season. And also Ravel Morrison coming to us and saying, unless he gets selected more often, he's going to have to consider his future here. And I was like, Ravel, what are you talking about, mate? You're pretty much always in our starting 11, if not on the bench. He's played 25 games in all competitions this season. He's had a very poor season for us as well. Despite growing by a rating, he's only picked up 1 assist in 25 games, and at 78 rated now, he's our second highest earner in the team. He is 28 years old, and I've got to be honest here, I'm not against letting Morrison go next season if we can get a bit of money for him. If we can get around 17 to 20 million for Ravel Morrison, I wouldn't be against selling him due to his low productivity in terms of assists and goals in this Sheffield United team. But still, following that, we saw for the first time in the series, Henderson's got his first call up for England, so that's fantastic. Of course, got one in real life not too long ago, but now for the first time in the game, he's been called up to the England squad. Definitely deserved as well after a great campaign for us. And also Portugal came to me and said, would you want to manage our nation? And you know, we haven't discussed international management in the series so far. This is of course an old school career mode. I'm doing it in an old school way, of course, with the post commentaries, and I'm not against managing a nation like I used to do before, but I'm waiting for the right nation to come in. Portugal's quite interesting. They said to me, we've got a couple of lads in the under 21s you might be too keen on. Pedro Antonio, Heldegon Calves, Bert Lenio Fernandez perhaps, but I was like, nah, it's not for me just yet, and we'll stick to club duties for now. Again, I'm not against managing internationally, but of course it does take more time out of the videos, and I guess we'll have to wait and see. For now though, we'll stick to just club football only. And for the first game of today's episode, we'll take on Crystal Palace here, back at Bramwell Lane, coming on the back of a heartbreaking loss away at the Etihad Stadium by 4-3 in the FA Cup quarter-finals. Now taking on Crystal Palace back at home, looking to respond and pick ourselves up on the back of back-to-back heartbreaking late defeats against Watford and Manchester City. 10 minutes in, we won ourselves a fortunate penalty, no doubt about that, but we will dispatch it comfortably through. The man of the moment right now, Oliver McBurney, getting his 4th goal in 3 games in all competitions into the top corner. And I'm just going to say this real briefly and not talk about it too much, but I've now taken 2 penalties and scored them both. That's you know, interesting, because I'm fucking shit at penalties this year. Anyway, Sheffield United 1, Crystal Palace 0. McBurney the man of the moment right now, making it 1-0, but the lead did not last long. We've seen this story before. Great save by Dean, but a rebound goal. How many times do we concede rebound goals in this save, man? It's ridiculous. Shot well saved by Dean, but Zahara is waiting and lurking, puts it into the back of the net and makes it 1-1, and that was the score at the break. So it's still 1-1 heading into half-time, and in the second half, a good chance just to get back in front. Ivan Toney running forward here. Lovely run, good ball to Fleck, but he fires the shot just wide of the post, and that was how the game would finish. Sheffield United 1, Crystal Palace 1. No wins in our last 3 games in all competitions now, and 2 defeats in our last 3 as well. Couldn't get the ball off Palace in this game though. 92% pass accuracy and 61% possession. Just a point for the Blades, but as you would have seen the league table heading into the game against Roy Hodgson's side, we are still several points above the drop zone, and still there are several teams below us right now in the bottom half of the table. So it might have only been a point there and not the 3 points we were looking for, but I still think we're going to be safe heading into next season. We're only about 1 win away from guaranteeing Premier League survival for season 3. So yeah, we're almost there. You know, the more points we pick up, it sounds pretty obvious, but the more points we pick up, even to just draws, then the closer we are to edging to survival. But still following that, a couple of youth players wanted to terminate their contracts. One was Kieran Brady. This is a Northern Irish cam who was only 56 overall, so can't check his potential just yet, but you can play cam and CM, medium low work rates, and 3-star. And also another Northern Irish player wanted to terminate his contract as well. It's another cam as well, who's also 56 rated, so it's pretty common here. We've got so many cams in our youth academy, it's crazy. Brendan Quinn also wanted a pro deal. I gave him one as well. He can play cam and central forward as well, so not CM or striker. Quite annoying since we play 3-5-2, but high medium work rates for him, 3-star, and like Brady, a very similar type of player, so we also add him to the loan list as well. It's kind of annoying as well, you know, there's 2 players asking for pro deals in the space of 2 days. I thought EA had fixed this. If you remember in previous career modes, you had it quite often. You'd advance 1 day in the calendar and another youth player would ask for a contract. I thought EA had fixed this, but evidently not. Either way, they both get deals, they're both put on the loan list, they're not good enough enough to play in our first team yet, and hopefully for season 3 we'll be able to loan them out and get in some first team football. Anyway, second of 3 games in today's episode, as we would take on Fulham away at Craven Cottage. Right now, very precarious position for the lads from Craven Cottage, just 1 place and 4 points above the bottom 3 right now, as they're trying to stay up in the Premier League and not have an instant return to the Championship after coming up last season. First chance falling onto us 5 minutes in though. Tony played forward 1-on-1, great save initially by the goalkeeper, and then our number 29 hits the post as it's still 0-0. But inside the first 10 minutes, after 3 games without a win, we were looking for a very quick start and we were playing some good football. Shaw beats Len Marchand down the left hand side here, steps infield, rolls it through towards Ivan Toney, couldn't score his first 2 shots, but he does here. And number 29 back on the score sheet after a couple of games without a goal. Not the greatest camera angle for one of the coolest celebrations in the game there, but he makes it 1-0, and we do have a deserved lead inside the first quarter of an hour. And right from the first whistle, we were in attack mode. Desperately unlucky to lose to Watford at home, desperately unlucky to get knocked out by City in the Cup, desperately unlucky not to beat Crystal Palace against Fulham. I wasn't going to settle for bad luck in this game. I was going to make sure we made our chances count. 21 minutes in, it's a second goal for Ivan Toney and a second assist for Ollie Shaw as well. That's now 6 assists in the season for our number 3, who's having an absolutely brilliant campaign. God knows why those 2 fans there were still sat down as we were celebrating 2 early goals. We were on fire in the first 21 minutes. Great ball by Shaw though. Tony running through 1-on-1. Clinical finish by our number 29, and he becomes the first player this season that reaches double digits for us in terms of goals. 10th goal in the Premier League for Tony. 2-0 Sheffield United, and 2-0 became 3-0 in the 34th minute where Rafael Morrison. It was going to happen, of course, today, wasn't it? I discussed him earlier on the episode, hasn't got a goal all season long, only 1 assist in 25 games. Of course, when I slag a player off, then he's going to start to perform. Morrison with a lovely strike from range makes it 3-0, first goal of the season, and Fulham are 3-0 down inside the first half, and really, they were looking like a Championship side. We were tearing them apart every time we went forward. However, our defence of late has been a little bit disappointing for us. Still haven't picked up a clean sheet since that 2-0 win against Burnley several weeks ago, and that run was going to get extended in this game. Camera, just before the break, got the host back in the game and reduced the goal deficit to 2. But despite them getting that goal there, we're still looking like the far superior side. And our defence might not be the best, but our offence is absolutely superb. And every time we've been going forward late, we've looked like scoring. 77th minute, great chance for Tony to get his hat-trick, and he would not get it because with 12 minutes to go, Callum Robinson steals a goal and steals the match ball from Ivan Toney. And you got to see this on the replay as well. Why Ivan Toney celebrated with him, I don't know. I guess he's just a team player. This ball was literally an inch away from crossing the line and getting Toney the match ball. And in Robinson's defence, it might have hit the post, but really, we know it was going in. Callum Robinson, from a millimetre out, gets the goal, makes it 4-1, and robs Ivan Toney of the match ball and the hat-trick. Fulham 1, Sheffield United 4. Robinson claims the goal there. Callum, the goal stealer Robinson, makes it 4-1. Kenny would make it 4-2 and once again reduce the deficit to 2 goals, but it's still all smiles for Ivan Toney come the final whistle. He knew that whilst the goal was taken away from him, the champagne certainly won't be. 2 goals, and he gets credit with the assist as well later on for a 9.4, and Sheffield United, after back-to-back heartbreaks, what a way to respond for Sheffield United. You know, failing to beat Crystal Palace at home, only getting a 1-1 draw, no wins in 3, but a brilliant victory away at Craven Cottage, scoring 4 goals and being absolutely superb. There's the one win we needed. 8 games to go, 35 points on the board now, and as you can see, we're 13 points clear of Stoke City in 18th place with 8 games to go. And with the teams above us right now, it's basically impossible for us to get relegated because those teams have still got to play each other in the Premier League, and therefore the point deficit is going to be too much to be made up for us to go down. So that basically confirms it there. Whilst mathematically it's not guaranteed, due to teams below us still needing to play each other, it's physically or almost physically impossible for us to get relegated this season. So 8 games to go, it's basically done. We are safe for another season in the Premier League, and this is what we wanted to do. If you remember right at the start of the series, I discussed it. In our first 2 or 3 years with Sheffield United, we weren't aiming to get ourselves into a European competition. We were aiming to pull off a Bournemouth, if you will, our third and final opponents for today's game, who are of course in real life, since getting promoted to the Premier Premier League have become a secure side in the Premier League. They're 9th in the Premier League table right now in real life. Eddie Howe's done an incredible job with the Cherries, as we know. That's what we wanted to do, and that's exactly what we have done. So we've reached that Premier League sort of security stage, which is what we wanted to do. That was our aim in the first 2 seasons, and it's great to know we managed to fulfill that objective. So third and final game of today's episode would be Bournemouth, who ironically in the game have not been secure. They're sat in 19th place right now, just a few games to go. Need to pick up wins if they are to stay in the Premier League for season 3. And I got to be honest here, guys, this was an absolutely abysmal game. There was only really one proper chance in the match. Henderson making a great save early. Other than that, there was very little going on. The biggest talking point in the game was this: in the 29th minute, David Brooks taking down Ollie Shaw, and our left back forced off with an injury inside the first half. So very worrying. We've had some serious injury problems throughout the course of the series. Let's hope our 18-year-old is going to be okay, and that's not a serious injury. He didn't need a stretcher, so that's a good sign. But either way, Shaw forced off in an abysmal game. 0-0 the final score. Not a great match, just one. Very little going on. But it is a clean sheet though. Nice to see. And it's also 3 unbeaten games in a row in the Premier League. So 0-0 the final score. 7 games remaining. We're safe for another season in the Premier League. Delighted with that. And because of that, in the next episode, what we're going to do is play the remaining 7 games, wrap up season 2 quickly, and get through to season 3, which will begin on Saturday morning. So this is the penultimate episode of season 2. We'll wrap up the season next episode, play the final 7 games, as we are safe for another season in the Premier League. But that will end today's episode of Career Mode, guys. So big thank you for watching. Really hope you have enjoyed it. If you did enjoy today's episode, please drop a like. Much love to you all, and I'll see you for the final episode of season 2 very soon.